Guys, welcome to another edition of the Noble Talk. So I am Norbie, and of course, today's session, Noble Talk, is very special because I am with my friend, childhood friend, kagagaling lang from Dubai, very fresh. So without much ado, without much introduction, I am here with Chris Ramos. So pero, hello. Pero parang feeling ko, I'm sure tatawagin kitang Per at ikaw tatawagin mo akong Elmer.
My real name is Christopher Ramos, but there's many ways of people calling me. Some people you know the the relationship I have with those people, the way they call me. Some childhood friends they call me Per.
Yeah.
Like my family call me Per, but my none of my adult friends call me that. They always go by Chris.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, anyway, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So really, happy ka ba?
Oh,
Ayan. So anyway, one thing you don't know about us is that bata pa lang kami, hindi pa kami nag-aaral, magkaibigan na kami. And just like how he introduced himself, ako din, yung mga kaibigan ng bata, they call me Mer or Elmer, even in my family. Pero none of my colleagues talaga call me Mer or Elmer. So they call me Norbie or Bert. So,
Maybe we can dive in deeper to that.
Yeah,
We can have
no?
another conversation about how people call people.
Yeah, oo nga. Kasi parang makikita mo na, parang, oo nga, no? Kasi yung sabi nila, yung the sweetest word that you will hear is your
Right, true.
name. So, oo nga, when people
Terms
call
of
you.
endearment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ayun. So, anyways, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon is really about happiness. Kaya tinanong ko kanina kung happy ka. Pero, di ba, I always give this training on leadership and happiness. And I have this particular activity. Sagutin nga natin, let's try. I'll be happy when. Can you complete the statement?
Well, before I answer that, did you notice how natural it is when I said I'm happy to be here?
Yeah.
Why? I didn't even know why I said I'm happy to be here. Maybe let's just dive a little deeper into that. I think it's natural for a lot of people to be just happy.
Yeah.
You know, there are like maybe certain number of people or good number of people who chooses to be happy even without even thinking about it. So maybe that's why I said thank you for having them happy to be here. So yeah, can you repeat the question again?
Ayun, I try to complete the sentence, no? Because I have this training, I give training on leadership and happiness. And basically, one of the activities that I'm giving to all the participants is for them to complete the statement, I'll be happy when.
Yeah, I hear this a lot. The "I'll be happy when" syndrome. Well, my take in this is that I, I don't really want to demolish it, but for me, it has like a negative connection to it because if you say "I'll be happy when," that means you're giving a limit to yourself as when you will be happy. Alam mo yun, parang pag hindi mo na-achieve pala, so hindi ka na happy. So,
Oo.
so parang depressing naman yun. But on the flip side, if you say I'll be happy when, kasi parang minsan for me sometimes you do that as a setup as setting up a goal. Like of course, for example, I'll be happy when I get my dream car. Obviously, I'll be happy. And like any other people, you said, I'll be happy when I get if I get my dream car. But another question will remain: will you stop from being happy as when you achieve that dream car na gusto mo for yourself? So yeah, it's quite tricky for me. It's not really bad for me, but I know a lot of people they don't see the good in that. But for me, yeah, there is a downside, but there's also a good side on I'll be happy when.
Yeah. Well, I like it when you said that you don't 100% agree with that statement. The I'll be happy when syndrome because tama ka nga, no? Kasi when you say that I'll be happy when I would be able to achieve this particular dream. So, oo nga, paano? Parang meron tayong palaging time frame to achieve that particular thing, no? Para bang yung happiness mo would always be anchored on or dependent on something else na ma-achieve mo. Or like definitely, kung magkaroon ka ng bagong kotse, you'll be happy. But then, I think bababa din siya. Ano, it's not always at its peak. Pero
True.
yeah, tama ka siguro.
Yeah.
When we talk of goal, probably you'll be happy when you have set a goal for yourself and you have achieved it. So
That's
that's
what
it.
I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more like for me, it's kind of like setting up a goal and keeps you on track.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us, when we are younger, or if you don't have a property yet, you will the first thing that comes into mind. I want to have my dream house, or maybe some people will say I'll be happy when I get my dream house. Obviously you'll be happy, you'll definitely be happy because you will be working hard to get your dream house, right? This is just an example, car, houses,
Yeah.
this is just a basic example. But the other thing is, um, okay, now I'm trying to realize what's the downside about that. Because you don't limit yourself, like you will be happy only when you achieve your dream. Your, for example, in this case, it's a dream house. Um, but the most important thing is that you should, because going towards your dream house is not a short journey, to be honest.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time to be there. Or if you wanted to have your dream car, it takes a lot of time, a lot of work. But the key is during that journey, it doesn't mean that you cannot be happy.
Yeah.
You can be happy from the beginning. You set that from the beginning. You started that journey until you achieve that. And when you achieve that journey, if you get your dream car or your dream house, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
And it happens to me so many times. This is like the when I get this thing, I'll be happy. And I thought after some times, yeah, I'm happy, but it just goes like kind of like a, I wouldn't say like a vicious cycle, but it's kind of the same, but in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to connect it with what you said earlier na parang when we were younger. So I remember lang, I think well of course looking back from our childhood experiences and nagtitinda tayo ng kamote yun, ng gulay, ng lumpia.
Sure.
Parang I think during that time we were kind of like happy individuals, young individuals na talagang very we were always inquisitive. We had a lot of questions and then we're trying to look for explanations sa lahat ng bagay na nakikita natin. And we dream a lot.
True.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say about childhood. Di ba, parang, when we were a child, and even the children nowadays, you ask them what makes you happy. Just as a simple candy will make anyone happy, right? Or like, for example, a next level, what makes me happy if I have a new shoes.
Yeah.
But now, as an adult, those little things sometimes, yeah, it will give you, it make you smile, make you feel good. But really, well, quite frankly, does that really make you happy? That's like a good bar of candy does make you still happy the same way that you were happy when you were a child.
I think yeah, when
Nagmamature na
nagmamature
siya.
siya. Oo. Tsaka, if you have a goal, if you are aspiring for something to have, like for example, a brand new shoes, when you get it for the first time, I think the kind of happiness, the level of happiness that you experience at that moment is different from when you can just simply buy a pair of new shoes anytime kasi you are capable of buying it. So, unlike yung dun sa point na I've been dreaming, I've been working hard for this, I've been saving for this one because I want to get this one. So I think in that case, we're talking about happiness as something that is experienced. So we get happiness because we associate happiness, yung being happy with experience. When we experience something, when we get something, then so that's it.
Yeah, kind of like yung sinasabi nila na the happy chemical or some kind of hormone in our
Yeah.
brain. They call it a dopamine. So like yung study about monkeys na when the monkeys eat the banana, immediately the monkey will feel happy because
Yeah.
it's a treat, right? So you can also apply that in real life. So the monkey is you and the banana is the treat. And but as soon as the monkey finish consuming the banana, then the level of happiness drop off.
Yeah, exactly.
So and maybe go to another tree and see a ripe mango, and there's another level of happiness. Yeah.
Exactly. So, with that, maybe we can like explore a little bit on the definition of happiness because I know there are a lot of psychologists who have different, definitions of happiness. Pero I think one thing, in one of my readings, I came across this particular article where she um differentiated joy from happiness. Yung joy is momentary experience. Like for example, dumating ka, may pasalubong ka sa akin na of course, yung Yeezy na slide. So I'm happy. I think that's joy. So sabi niya. But then when you are being asked, how happy are you? Or are you happy? Then it's like measuring or assessing your that feeling of happiness for a period of time, over a period of time. So siguro simula ng bata tayo hanggang ngayon, if we look back and then up to this point, how would you consider, how would you assess your journey in terms of happiness? So ako, I'd like to start by saying na probably from the moment na nung bata tayo, with all the things that we've gone through in life, and then the twists and turns, the ups and downs, and then the many destinations that we have reached, and then the many stations in a, like kung train man siya, ng mga stations na napuntahan natin na nag-stop tayo for a period of time. So those are actually some of the experiences that has brought us here. And so I would say that yung level of happiness ko is between 8.5 to 9. So kasi everything, well, of course, I always look at my life half full, like a glass half full instead of half empty. So I think that makes me look at myself in journey ko in life as something quite happy. Mm.
Okay. Well, um, I really don't know. If you're asking me how to measure happiness, well, quite frankly, I don't know how I will measure my happiness because for me, I don't have like any research or readings about it. But if you ask me, like if you ambush me, the question will remain the same. Like, can you really quantify happiness?
Yeah,
And if you
exactly.
can, how?
Yeah.
Because it's not number. It's definitely not math. It can be science, but definitely not math. And that's the difference between math and science. Because in math, you can always quantify it.
Yeah.
But happiness, how do you really measure it? Is it like if you put it like in a glass of water, and your happiness is the water? How would you measure? I really don't know how to measure that. And also, each and every one of us are different. If I give you a new pair of shoes, you'll be like maybe 100% happy. And if I give another friend of ours a pair of shoes, maybe she will be happy, but not 100%. So it's the same shoes, but different level of happiness, right? So it depends, I think, on the person. You now, I'm just thinking, yes, maybe you can quantify, you can measure, but your measurement cannot be comparable.
Yeah.
Right? You can measure it on yourself. You are the one who can measure it, not other people. And when you're able to measure your level of happiness, it's no way you can compare to other people because we're all different
Yeah,
individuals.
I think I like it, no? Because when you look at it na probably yung isang family na mahirap tapos biglang sabihin natin tumama sa wedding ng 3,000, 5,000 for a week meron silang parang pwedeng sila yung fiesta sa kanila. So yung happiness na nakita mo doon, tsaka yung happiness ng isang mayaman na may bagong sabihin natin siguro BMW na car, siguro naman pareho lang naman ang level of happiness nila.
I like that you reminded that. And now I remember I used the same example with my friends in Dubai while we were walking in Kite Beach. So me and my group of friends, so we were walking, and while we're walking, nakakita kami ng 100 dirhams bill. So that's like maybe 1,300 to 1,500. Say it's 1,000
Yeah,
pesos,
okay.
okay? Say 1,000 pesos. Now, this 100 dirhams bill, it's now you can measure this. You can quantify. This is just back and forth. It's just 100 dirhams, right? But if you give this to a homeless guy, it will change the course of his day. Maybe he will be
Yeah.
able to afford to buy
Yeah.
food for the day, right? And maybe something for tomorrow as well. Even to the next couple of days if because a homeless guy, probably hindi naman siya magastos. So yung 100 dirhams is gonna be the impact is big. But if I give it to my one of my friends who's also well off, na may maganda naman na trabaho, wala naman yung bearing for him. Like, pero dito, if I give that to a homeless, malaki yung impact. So now, how will you say you can measure or even compare happiness, right?
Yeah, I'm also beginning to understand. Probably it's because when, like for example, yung 100 dirhams bill na yun, na parang for someone who has more than enough, that will not change the situation. That will not change the feeling, the emotion, the experience at all. But for someone who is lacking, that doesn't have any amount of money at all, that can change the situation. That can move the perspective of a person. So at that moment, you can say that happiness is luck. Happiness can be found in the littlest of things, and then happiness can be stumbled upon anywhere.
True.
So I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
The source of happiness is different.
yeah,
And not only different, there's so many multitude ways of sources of happiness. So if you're out there feeling lonely, you just have to go out there because there's so many sources of happiness. It's just up to you. Whatever. Kung ano yung trip mo, go for it. No judgment or anything. And also, another question: do you chase happiness?
exactly.
Well, yeah, again, another tricky question because for me, happiness should be natural, as
Yeah.
everyone should feel. Happiness should be natural. You should be chasing for it, but sometimes we struggle, and it doesn't hurt for you to come out there and chase for your happiness.
Yes, yeah.
So it feels good if it's natural. All organic things are good for us, good for our body, good for our minds. But if you're feeling like down or something, it doesn't hurt to go chase for it.
Yeah, exactly. Kaya ano no, I think sometimes we just have also a misconception about happiness that people who, I think, yeah, number one, it's about perspective. I'm just speaking my mind out na it's really about perspective na para bang I think I saw this on Instagram na may isang babae na tulak-tulak niya yung anak niya nakasakay sa, how do you call that? Yung sa baby crib, you think
The pram, the stroller.
the stroller, yeah, that's it. Yung anak niya nandun sa stroller, tapos nakita niya isang babae naman na may dala-dala maraming mga,
Sure.
kung ano man yon. So, nag-shopping siya. Ang
Mhm.
sabi ng babaeng tutulak ng stroller, she's very fortunate. Pero yung babaeng may dala-dala ng mga paper bags from shopping.
Mhm.
Ang sabi niya, she's very fortunate. So I think in that instant,
Perspective.
the
I love
perspective
that.
is really
Yes.
very important for us to understand the meaning of happiness. So number one, you've asked about, do you really chase happiness? Well, at some point, tama. Yes, when you're lonely, when you're sad, and
When you're
You're-
going through something,
Yeah.
it helps for you to go for it and chase
Yeah.
for it. And then again, I like what you said, the perspective. Sometimes it's so natural for us, especially in the Filipino culture. Mahilig kasi tayong mag-compare,
Yeah.
right? Especially sa kapitbahay. Parang katulad, it's a very good example. Parang, ay, ang swerte niya naman, nakakapag-shopping siya. And then, little did you know, yung nasa isip niya, ay, yung swerte niya naman, may anak na siya, ako wala pa akong anak. So, yeah, sometimes, doon nagiging complicated yung happiness.
Yeah, oo. I think there's well, I remember my friend also was telling me na para bang, Yeah, why do you aspire to have an iPhone 14 Pro Max or iPhone 14 in the latest edition ng iPhone, where in fact kahit na meron kang kung ano mang brand na mas mababa dun sa brand ng iPhone. So probably the same thing lang niya. What's the purpose? To call, to text, to get in touch, to connect with the people. So if you can hear, if you can read the text messages and everything, so it doesn't matter kung
True.
anong
Yeah.
brand.
In that aspect, I think it's about acceptance. So yeah, a lot of again, we kasi iba-iba din naman talaga tayo. So I don't judge people who
Yeah.
are into expensive things because who knows they really work hard for it. Like for
Yeah.
example, for me, I work hard and I deserve something really nice that I can really afford. So
Yeah.
that sometimes we like. Here's the thing. Sometimes it's so good to double down on your happiness.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to do that because after all, you're a hardworking person and you deserve whatever you want for as long as you're not stepping into other people's
People's
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
I think in one of the books that I've read about happiness, which is Stumbling on Happiness, parang he was telling us there na parang I think everybody aspires to be happy. So in whatever form, in whatever way would you get it, would you experience it? The main objective of every human being is to be happy. Which of course, according to him, there are different kinds of happiness. Although I haven't finished the book yet, he was talking about like happiness is something that is based on emotion. So emotional happiness. Kasi nga parang everything that we experience, so we associate it with the feeling na, okay, like nagkaroon ka ng bagong shoes, so I'm happy. So that's why yung kanina, yung tanong ko, I'll be happy when you get something, when you associate your happiness with something that's a feeling, something that you feel, something that you experience. So that gives you happiness. And I think the happiness that it affords us or it offers us is something na, ayun nga po pwedeng, meron ka ngayon, mamaya wala na, or mataas ngayon, at this level, bigla siyang babagsak. So, it can
Yeah,
happen.
I like that when you said about the emotion because after all, we are all emotional creatures.
Yeah.
And katulad ng example mo, yung shoes. That's why, can you imagine when we are a child? For example, it's another source of like kind of like a happiness, emotional happiness. For example, you said you buy a nice shoes and you feel happy like in the moment right now, and then fast forward to 2 years from now, and you see the same shoes, it will remind you the same feeling kasi may physical form, and that's what we call sometimes the nostalgia.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you hear something or you see something or you taste something that reminds you of childhood, it's a different kind of happiness, which again I don't know how to measure, but it's sure thing that it gives you happiness. So that's again another source of happiness. Nostalgia.
Yeah. Oo, no? Kasi it's relegated in para bang
It's emotion.
yeah, emotions. But you can always look back, you can always like
True.
rekindle it, but
Sure.
then you don't see the physical experience anymore. But I think that's the wonder of having that kind of emotion kasi para bang you can always feel it, you can always look back na parang
Yeah. Di ba kaya nga sinasabi din na na living in the moment is key to the happiness.
yeah.
So it's one of the key to be happy, and I really agree that. And whenever I hear about living in the moment, it always remind me my yoga practice.
Yeah.
I have a lot of different very good yoga teachers back in Dubai, and they're all amazing people, and they always say to live in the present moment.
Yes.
And that's because if you're not that's because for me mainly is you don't want to regret things, right? Because it may never happen again. If you live your life in the present moment, you will be more happy
Yeah.
because you have more awareness, you have more appreciation, and also if you're living in the present moment, you are likely to be grateful of whatever you have in the present moment. So
I like it, no? Kasi, if you can still remember in the last time when we went to Europe, so yung nandun tayo sa Nice. Remember the volleyball game?
True, true,
So
true.
that's, I think, one of the things na I really appreciate in our travel, yung one unforgettable moment was that part na
True.
you were really pushing me na,
Mhm.
oh, ikaw nung bata tayo, mas mahilig ka sa volleyball, tapos
Diba?
bakit, why don't you try it? Hindi ka nila kakilala, why don't you do it? Because it
Diba?
might
Nothing's
happen.
gonna. What's the worst thing that gonna happen? They will not let you in, and that's okay. And can you imagine if hindi kita pinush or hindi mo rin pinush yung sarili mo, hindi mo nilabanan yung hiya mo, which is natural to be mahiyain for all of us. But see, that's a very good moment. It will always remind you, even pagtanda natin, you will always or maybe if someone a child will ask you, have you been to the place called Nice or to France? That's the always first thing that's gonna come
Yeah,
into your mind.
oh
And
my
that will give you a good boost of happiness.
Yeah, living the moment, enjoying the moment, yung mga moments na nagsasasayaw pa ako doon and everything.
True.
Saan na nga ba yun? Nandun sa pala, sa taas?
Lahat.
Lahat. Pero I think tama ka na is living the moment, living in the moment, key to happiness. I think, yeah, it is. Kasi if we talked about emotions, so anything that you experience today and then that really gives you a positive feeling is a way to experience happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also reminds me of yung tinatawag natin na mindfulness.
Mm.
And I still remember I conducted like a short training with my team back in Dubai about mindfulness. So that's also a key for happiness because mindfulness is about living in the present moment and like really present and nothing else. Like for example, you take a deep breath. That is one mindful breathing. Like you feel everything. You're not thinking of it. You're not stuck in the past, and you're also not
Anticipating.
wondering about what's gonna future can tell.
Yeah.
So that's living the present moment. That means you're not holding back. Wala kang baggage na kina-carry. And at the same time, hindi ka nag-worry so much about the future.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
actually what's holding us from living the present moment because yung tinatawag natin na hindi ka pa nakaka-move on sa past mo, that's holding you back from living in the present moment and also masyado kang nag-aalala kung anong mangyayari sa future mo, that's holding you from living your present perfect life.
I think it was Stephen Covey who said that yung parang if you get obsessed with the past, somehow para bang you lose control of the future and its possibilities. But at the same time, you also lose the opportunity of living the moment. Kasi how can you enjoy the moment when your head is nakatingin sa likod, and then tapos yung paa mo maglalakad pa forward, so there's no, parang feeling ko walang alignment, walang unity of the mind, body, and spirit. So definitely you want to enjoy the moment.
You know, you reminded me, there is a good quote or something from this animated movie. The panda, the Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah.
Sabi niya na, the present, that's why it's called the present. Yung the Master Shifu ba? Or
Yeah.
So yeah, it reminded me that.
Yesterday is a history, tomorrow is a
True.
mystery.
And there's no way you can do about history. Kahit ano pang gawin mo, kahit gaano ka pa katalino, you cannot travel back. It just happens in the movie. There is no way you can change that. So
Yeah.
just let's settle, let it go. And the future has not yet happened.
Yeah.
You can do something about to change or manipulate the future the way you want it to be, but not 100%. And your control is here, right now, 100%.
Yeah, that's correct. So, yun, kanina tinanong natin, how can we measure happiness? And sabi natin, it's really not that easy. Pero siguro I'd like to, to reframe the question by asking na, siguro in terms of material happiness or emotional happiness. So, what are the measures that gives, things that give you happiness? Yung kahit sudden joy or happiness
Ano na lang yung mga small things na na
Pasaya
nakakapagpasaya
sa
sa
atin.
atin. Maybe we can categorize
Yeah.
them, right?
Correct, sige.
So ano ba?
Okay, sige. Siguro kung ako ay isang bata, anong bata tayo, looking back, I think yung sa akin parang medyo malalim pero yung parang transcendence na nung maalis tayo sa reality ng buhay natin, ng kabataan natin. But we tend to ask a lot of questions. Yung nagde-daydream tayo, pero pag nag-daydream tayo, alam natin na gusto natin na magkaroon ng ganito, magkaroon ng ganito, magkaroon ng ganito. And I could remember that we were talking about nung bata tayo, pag mangungutang kami sa tindahan ninyo, halimbawa meron yung doon sa yung karton ng sigarilyo. Pero we were asking about in the future kaya magkakaroon ng modern way to yung transact na yung through yung credit. So
Sure.
ayun nga, nagkaroon nga ng credit card siguro yung time na yun.
I mean, parang sa atin, parang iniisip lang natin before that's impossible, but we didn't know because we are just living in a very
Yeah.
secluded area, if you will. But we didn't know na meron talaga palang fast forward na world
Yeah.
outside sa lugar natin. So,
Correct.
so yeah.
So basta ko, yung sa akin, I think kung gusto ko yung doon sa yung the younger us. So yung the younger us, we were full of idealism, we were full of dreams and I think yung moment of being innocent and then daydreaming and dreaming about the future, para bang um, being detached from your physical reality and then you journey in a state of the future where everything is happy, where everything is possible. So I think sa akin daydreaming.
So parang kind of like yung nostalgia kanina. Yeah. Okay. That's one. Kung marami tayong masabi
So,
sa'yo kasi may naisip pa ako.
Ikaw?
For me, gratitude will make us happy.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
no matter how much you have or how less you have, if you're grateful about it, I think it can boost your
Yeah.
your happiness. And I read it somewhere. I don't know the exact word, pero parang ang meaning niya is parang sa lahat ng mga ugali, yung pagiging mapapasalamat or grateful is the most important of all. Why? Because palag grateful ka, palagi kang merong ipagpapasalamat.
Yeah.
You know? So kasi gratefulness for me, that's why it's one of key for being
Yeah.
happy is nasa loob din nun yung pagkakaroon ng acceptance and contentment. If you're accepting whatever you have or who you are, and you're contented with that, you'll be able to be grateful. And if you're grateful, happiness does follow.
Yeah, I think, of course, yung kindness then is anchored on that
True.
gratitude.
Yes, parang sanga-sanga na sila. So, yun na yun. Happiness.
Yeah,
Grateful.
I think ayun yung sinasabi ko kanina, emotional happiness. But there's another form of happiness, which is moral happiness. Yung kind of like anchored on certain value or yung virtues that mankind, the humanity has. Like, for example, yun nga, na para bang doing the right thing.
Is it kind of like the spiritual or
Yeah.
faith? Yeah, I also I
Spirituality
believe
also.
that. I mean, I don't really like practice as when we were a child na palagi tayo nasa simbahan. But having a good faith also bump up your happiness level.
Yeah.
Because even if I don't go to church more often, I still have faith that that God does exist and someone that's really powerful and higher above us all. Yeah, I still have that faith, and knowing that I believe in it, I feel safe. Yeah, and that makes me happy as
I think
well.
that's part ng yung spiritual journey natin, and part of that
Spiritual.
yung yung transcendence na sometimes
true.
we journey to a certain level outside of our physical reality, but then we recognize that there is the presence of a creator, and then whatever religion we have,
True.
so for as long as there's that spirituality, ayun yung sinasabi ko na parang there's this realization to me na parang na parang yung spirituality is looking at your journey na you're one with nature, you're not above anybody else, but you recognize that you are existing, you are just part of the universe, and no entitlement or no ego at all or whatsoever.
True.
You allow yourself to go through the process of, yeah, understanding the deeper purpose and
Sure,
meaning of life.
absolutely. Yeah. Friend, yung hindi hindi natin naisip kanina yung yung physical
Well,
well-being.
yeah. Yeah.
Physical well-being. Like yung pagiging healthy, the absence of
Sickness.
sickness.
Yeah.
Just imagine for a moment right now, whoever is listening or whenever you're listening, imagine mo masakit yung ngipin mo. Masaya ka, di ba? Hindi.
Yeah. Correct.
That's just one example. But how do we continuously be healthy and happy? That's another thing. And ang lawak talaga ng happiness, parang sanga-sanga siya, no? And when we say about physical well-being, syempre papasok na dyan yung pagkakaroon ng habits.
Yes, correct.
Which is another topic.
Yeah.
Paano magkakaroon ng healthy habits about. And then again,
Mindset,
habits is sanga-sanga na naman. Iba-ibang klase ng habits. But let's just focus about physical well-being. So how do you achieve that? Then probably,
Sure.
yung
Even material,
yes, I agree. Meron ding happiness na bibigay yung material things. I mean,
convenience.
that's one, but also something na it's something I think that's unexplainable na binibigay ng material things, but it's also tricky because sometimes hindi mo alam na baka mamaya that's already some kind of an addiction. So
Yeah.
but we just have to be careful about that na hindi tayo we don't fall off the borderline, if you will. So yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And even food just give us happiness. Yeah, parang it comes from the gut. Kapag ka na-satisfy, kaya doon ng monkey pala kanina, di ba? Kapag ka na-satisfy yung hunger mo, it gives you happiness, and walang masaya na nagugutom. Lahat na nagugutom, hindi sila masaya.
Pero it dawned on me now na we've been talking about happiness from a positive perspective. Never did we realize na negative experiences in life can also occur as with happiness. Like for example, you are in a bad situation right now, or for example, sa trabaho na lang, now you were given something very challenging, it's outside of your core competency, but you're not willing to give it, to give up. You would like to give it a try, and then afterwards, when you were able to accomplish it, then there is happiness.
Sure.
So even in the negative situation, you can also call out happiness.
Well, it's funny you said about work. Ayun, again, nakalimutan na naman natin i-touch siya. Lumalawak na tayo ng lumalawak. And you said about work, and I say about leisure.
Yeah.
Leisure does gives happiness. For example, bilang nabanggit mo lang yung work, ay i-connect ko na lang siya doon. So no matter how hard yung work mo, how busy yung trabaho mo, don't forget to to sometimes take time to leisure.
Yeah, exactly.
Diba? Kasi you need to recharge. Your body needs it, your mind needs it, and that's also one way of being happy.
Yeah.
Diba? Yung hindi ka alipin ng trabaho mo.
Oo, exactly.
Diba? Sabi nga, hindi tayo
Nagtatrabaho para mabuhay.
Nagtatrabaho lang tayo para
Hindi.
Palagi ko na pagpapaligtad yun. So we don't leave to work. We definitely don't leave to work. We work so we can live.
Yeah, exactly.
Diba? We just to provide our requirements.
Yung about happiness can give us a lot of insights, moments for reflection, and leads us also to asking a lot of things about ourselves. Pero I'd like to well, of course, just to cut this conversation ng haba pa natin. So I'd like to, sa akin yung realization ko is that happiness, just like life, is a journey. It is a decision. It is a choice. So I think if you are going to settle on something that you have decided on, like for example, gusto ko to and I'm happy with this one, and whatever happens, whatever comes along the way, it won't change my perspective about happiness anymore. So I think I am saying it now because to me, I have achieved that level of maturity to really understand what happiness is and how I should live a life happy, contented, and generous and kind. So parang ayun, gusto kong sabihin na happiness is a journey, it is a choice, and it is a decision. What
Sure.
about you?
It's kind of the same. I agree that it's a journey because it never stops. It's like a cycle. Like just like when we begin this conversation, na um, I'll be happy when it doesn't just stop there. There will always be reason or ways to be happy. It doesn't mean that once you reach one goal of happiness, it doesn't mean that's it. Life is a long way to go. So as long as we live, um, we can always find happiness. Well, ideally, happiness should be naturally, should flow naturally. But if it doesn't hurt for you to go out and come find whatever makes you happy without the feeling of judgment or anything, without having fear na hindi ka na nahihiya kung ano sasabihin ng iba. Just go for it. Just do you. Whatever makes you happy. Just what I always say with my friend, whatever makes you happy, friend, do it. Don't even think about me. Don't even think about the people around you. Kasi again, if go back to the question of how do you measure happiness, I think I will say no. We cannot measure happiness, but it's for you to decide or to to say how is the level of your happiness.
Yeah, so I think thank you very much for that. I agree with with what you with all the things that you said. Pero no, parang lahat naman din talaga tayo na parang there are moments na po pwedeng wala mababa yung level of happiness natin, pero merong moments na mataas. Pero I think we appreciate happiness and all that comes with it when we talked about it. That having said, kasi on
Let's
November...
not close it. May naisip na naman.
Sige, sure.
Kasi isa yung mong gano'n. Isa pa. Hindi na yata tayo matapos. Ano ba? Nakalimutan ko to. Yung, sabi ko
Yung pag
kanina,
ganon.
yeah, every day is not different. Okay? Do not judge yourself about that. If today your happiness level, if kahapon is like 100% yung level ng happiness mo, but today you are upset, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just deal with it. It doesn't stay there. And again, yung pag ganun, ang sinasabi ko, just be patient. Sometimes, ang level ng happiness mo is just so high. Just go on. I-enjoy mo yung friend. I-appreciate mo yun. Be grateful about that because maybe tomorrow, next week, yung level of happiness mo is medyo bumaba. At least you're happy, but be patient with that. Whatever it is that making you unhappy, it will pass and you go over with it and your happiness again will bump up. So I think for that case, the key is patience and not judging yourself.
Yeah, so not judge yourself, be kinder to yourself, be gentle to yourself. So I think that being said, kasi nga on November 25th, it's going to be a Friday. So it's a Friday. So we're going to have this like an ongoing conversation, an educated dialogue, an ongoing conversation where we invite professionals, people na from those who would like to join us and be a part of us in discussing a lot of topics and be part of that ongoing conversation. And definitely, happiness is part of it. That's why we have this what we call the Bluezone of Happiness, which is happening on November 25. So ano bang gagawin namin dito? So pag-uusapan namin, we're going to talk about life, we're going to talk about happiness, we're going to talk about human experiences. And then from there, hopefully we can build connections and engage with a lot of people, and hopefully along the way we would be able to invite as many people as we can so that we can have these moments of happiness through conversation and educated dialogue. So hopefully guys, yeah, umattend kayo. You are welcome to attend, and of course the details can be posted in our social media page, so sa Facebook page namin. If you would like to know more about the Bluezone of Happiness, so what you have to do is to attend that particular day on November 25 para mas maintindihan ninyo kung ano yung sinasabi nating Bluezone of Happiness. So, once again, thank you very much, friend. So, nag-enjoy ka ba?
Much. Yes. Na-happy ako. Promise.
Na-happy. Okay, so, that's it. Thank you very much and
Thank you.
good day.